Right now at 10, the state legislature's special session on gun control lasts only a few seconds at the Capitol. We'll have a live report.
And affordable housing could soon be coming to a part of Dane County where no such option currently exists. We'll have the latest.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
First tonight, we have breaking news. Acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney has been subpoenaed to appear tomorrow morning before the House Intelligence Committee as part of the impeachment inquiry into President Trump. The subpoena follows House investigators' request on Tuesday that he testify at the end of the week. In just seconds today, both the Wisconsin State Senate and Assembly opened and closed the special session on gun control measures ordered by Governor Tony Evers.
Amy Reed joins us live from the Capitol now, and she has the very latest. Amy?
The Assembly spent all day in their scheduled session and then within seconds opened and then closed the special session ordered by Governor Tony Evers. It was very similar to what Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald did earlier in the night. Fitzgerald was the only senator who came in for that session. The governor's goal was to pass legislation that would institute universal background checks on firearm purchases and a red flag law allowing a judge to temporarily seize guns from someone who poses a threat. But not only was there no discussion on these, Fitzgerald didn't even sit down. He says these violate the Second Amendment and don't address gun violence.
There are many other things that play into that, including mental illness. And that's something certainly I think, you know, is if we could come up with a solution to the issues related to gun violence or these mass shootings.
We could focus on locking up criminals. We could focus on locking up the people who already fail an existing background check and we don't prosecute them. I mean, there are a lot of things that we could focus on that would bring us together instead of just driving us apart.
And that was House Speaker Robin Vos. He said he knew these measures wouldn't pass, and that's why he didn't need to discuss them in special session. That and the conversation came up multiple times through their scheduled session. There were a series of bills related to suicide prevention that the Assembly discussed tonight, and without fail, Democratic representatives mentioned how gun control was part of that. Democrats tonight are saying that they are disappointed on the lack of action on these two bills tonight, especially with 80% of Wisconsin voters in that most recent Marquette Law School poll saying that they support this policy.
Amy Reed live at the state capitol tonight. Amy, thank you. And just a few minutes ago, Governor Evers released a statement talking about that 80%. Quote, Republicans essentially just told 80% of Wisconsinites and a majority of gun owners, quote, go jump in the lake because they didn't have the courage to take a vote.
The Channel 3000 Alert app was the first to let you know about tonight's developments at the Capitol. So be sure to download it for the latest breaking and local news. It is free right now in the App Store. Also at the state capitol tonight, all three veto override attempts in the Assembly have failed. Democrats are refusing to go along with Republicans to rebuff Governor Evers. Today's votes marked the first override attempts in the Wisconsin legislature in 9 years. The last successful override was in 1985.
And Governor Evers is promoting the DATCAP deputy secretary after the Wisconsin Senate fired the agency's head earlier this week. The governor says Randy Romansky will replace Brad Pfaff after the Senate rejected his confirmation on Tuesday. And new tonight, former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, after saying back in March he would not run for president, is reconsidering that decision. A spokesman says the billionaire is expected to file the required paperwork this week to get on the Democratic primary ballot in the state of Alabama, although the spokesman says Bloomberg has not made a final decision on whether to run.
Former Attorney General Jeff Sessions also making it official today. He's now jumping into the race for his old Senate seat in Alabama, despite a warning from President Trump to sit out the election. Sessions had a falling out with the president while he was the Attorney General after recusing himself from the federal probe into Russian involvement in the presidential election. Getting a look outside tonight, it is unseasonably cold and temperatures are dropping through the teens, and we could be close to a record low temperature by early tomorrow morning. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti has our first alert forecast. Gary?
Well, those temperatures just continue to fall a couple of degrees each hour, and that's because we have fresh snow cover on the ground and we have clear skies. Take a look at the time lapse from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam today. You can see just how few clouds there were the entire day today, but having the sunshine really made very little difference on the temperatures because of that snow cover. It kept our temperatures cold. We started out with high temperatures only in the low to mid 20s. Janesville was the warm spot at 30, so was Milwaukee. But look at where the temperatures are now. Single digits and teens here in Madison. We're down at 15 degrees. Black River Falls in central Wisconsin already down to 3 degrees below zero. And by tomorrow morning, we're looking at low temperatures around 8 degrees, which should be just above the record low of 7 set back in 1991. Tomorrow, another unseasonably cold day with a little more cloud cover and high temperatures around 29 degrees. Later on, I'll take a look at a forecast that unfortunately includes the potential for more record temperatures by early next week.
Gary, thank you. The Iowa County Sheriff is offering a chance for hundreds of people to clear warrants out for their arrests on November 27th, the day before Thanksgiving. Those individuals can just show up in person at the Iowa County Courthouse and ask the district attorney to set a new court date to close their cases. You don't need to pay any additional cash bonds. No one will be arrested or spend any time in jail. They're doing it as a way to clear the backlog of warrants they have. The deal does not apply, however, to people who have warrants out for felonies or child support cases. Dane County Medical Examiner's Office has identified the pedestrian who was killed in Monday night's vehicle crash on Highway 1218. She is 35-year-old Susan Johnson of Madison. She was found dead at the scene near 1218 and Mill Pond Road. The driver accused of being involved, Sean Jones, was released on a $500 signature bond yesterday. Additional testing is underway and the investigation is ongoing.
A small plane crashed into a home in Southern California today, causing a massive fire and killing the pilot. 2 adults and a baby were in the house, but amazingly got out without injury. The pilot was the only person on the plane. It is unclear what caused the crash. The FAA and NTSB are investigating. He was one of 5 people of color wrongfully convicted of brutally sexually assaulting a white female jogger in 1989. That case later became known as the Central Park 5.
The true battle isn't about black and white. It's not really a fight in terms of black people against white people and this and that. Really, it's about making sure that the evils that we see in high and low places are stomped out.
Yusef Salam spoke tonight at Madison College about racial injustice and his wrongful conviction. He's now an advocate and educator on racial disparities within the criminal justice system.
Volunteers are working through Veterans Day weekend, hoping to break the cycle of homelessness in part of Home Depot's Celebration of Service campaign, where Home Depot employees work to fix up veterans' homes. This video is from Appleton. The campaign is spending about 100,000 hours of time on projects like this all around the country. The Home Depot Foundation plans to spend a total of $500 million on veterans projects by the year 2025. Tonight, the Dane County Board approved funding for Cottage Grove's first affordable housing development. Gabriella Becerra joins us with an update on where this development will go. Gabby?
Dane County is giving more than $1.5 million to Moving Out for Glen Grove Apartments on Cottage Grove Road. 30 to 80% of units will be priced affordable and 20% of units will be set aside for households where at least one family member has a disability. Cottage Grove has the highest median rent in Dane County, according to the Director of Planning and Development, Aaron Ruth. He says housing data shows living in Cottage Grove may be less ideal for single households, seniors, and young adults. Glen Grove Apartments will offer the city's only affordable housing options.
There are families and, single people that, pay way too high of a percentage of their income or can't afford it all to be in housing. And these projects all include significant amounts of affordable housing.
Well, there are businesses that indicate they have difficulty finding employees. So this would hopefully help them in that.
Corrigan says since 2015, Dane County has increased affordable housing by over 1,200 units with this project. Affordable housing projects were also approved in Madison, Mount Horeb, and Fitchburg. In total, the funding will provide 559 units of new housing, with 461 of those priced for people meeting income, age, or disability guidelines.
Food pantries in Rock County say they're in need of help heading into the holiday season. Food pantries in Rock County say they really need it right now. The Salvation Army of Janesville says it plans plans to feed close to 500 people on Thanksgiving alone. That's in addition to the daily lunches it serves during the week. But just months ago, they said they were in need of donations so badly they almost had to close the pantry. Renovations will limit ice cream flavors at Babcock Hall for the next 2 years. Chocolate Shop will take over production while the dairy plant updates and expands the Center for Dairy Research. But Chocolate Shop can only make 11 of those flavors at a time compared to 26 by Babcock. The plant closed back on September 23rd, but its shop is still selling and is open.
A famous rock band's newest music video is putting a Wisconsin tourist attraction in the spotlight. The Raconteurs music video for the song Some Days I Don't Feel Like Trying, just released this week, features House on the Rock and already has nearly 80,000 views. The band, whose frontman is Jack White, shot the video in September. It features iconic backdrops such as the Infinity Room and the world's largest carousel found at the Spring Green attraction. Still ahead tonight, more chances to break some cold weather records.
But first, studies show transitioning from elementary to middle school can lead to slumping grades. Our researchers at the UW are trying to prevent it. That's next. Well, whether you have a child experiencing it right now or maybe you remember it yourself, it's not easy going from elementary to middle school.
But research right here in Madison shows a potential solution that's effective and affordable for budget-strapped school districts. Here's Danica Lewis.
We just got all of our materials ready.
We all know good stories have a strong beginning, a solid ending, and a middle.
Can be a negative narrative around middle school years for everybody. We're gonna do this just a little bit differently today.
Dana Surway is one of those teachers at Toki Middle School hoping to rewrite the narrative for her students, making sure the middle,
and your grammar and your punctuation and things like that,
isn't forgotten.
Our kids have all these skills. They're creative, they're smart, they're kind, they're empathetic. They're already all of those things, and this is a space for them to come and develop and practice being the people that they want to be. Does that make sense?
These sixth graders come from 4 different feeder schools, each with different experiences, different challenges, different stories.
Even when you feel a moment of being overwhelmed, remember this. Do not cut out parts to save time.
Which is why people like Corey Foster made it his job.
They're finding their true identity.
To make the transition into middle school
How cool is that to help with that?
easier for students.
Sense of belonging has to be the core of it.
You're an adolescent, just like everybody else, and you're going through a lot of changes right now that everybody else is experiencing. Did they feel like they were being treated fairly?
Jeffrey Borman is an education professor and researcher at UW-Madison.
Decreased the number of behavioral referrals by 34%.
Who noticed just how challenging that switch to 6th grade can be.
Students are entering puberty and going through all of the social, emotional changes, cognitive changes at that period of life, but then also piling on top of that, this big change going into middle school from elementary school.
Borman looked at more than 1,300 6th graders across all 11 middle schools in Madison and realized most just wanted to fit in.
Very meaningful and substantial.
His solution is simple. Share statements and advice from their peers, not adults, that show students they aren't alone in dealing with all of the changes.
The cost of this intervention was about $1.35 per student.
The results showed fewer issues with grades, attendance, and behavior among all of those adolescents.
These writing exercises helped all kids. It didn't matter the color of your skin, it didn't matter the wealth of your family, it didn't matter whether you were a boy or a girl. It benefited all kids equally, and that was the most exciting thing, I think.
Especially exciting at places like Toki, where more than half of the middle schoolers are students of color.
One of our greatest assets and strengths, I think, is our diversity.
Principal Kyle Walsh is also aware of the challenges that brings, which is why he's particularly proud of the Black Student Union.
I wanted to see people that look like me.
With the help of Mr. Foster and Mrs. Surway, the club has gained momentum over the past few years, giving all students a place to share their struggles, their successes, and their suggestions.
We need student voice. We need them to help us figure out where we're going because they usually have a better idea than we do.
It's no us or them. It has to be both of us.
Everyone with their own story.
We want to have the best possible story.
But working through it together, knowing the middle matters.
Having that mentality that we can pick each other up and keep moving forward is essential in middle school.
In Madison, Danica Lewis, News 3 Now.
Toki's administration is looking forward to working with Borman and his research team in the future to develop even more effective ways to keep 6th graders on track.
And in the meantime, the UW is testing the method at middle schools in Arizona and Texas to see if the positive results can be replicated there.
Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti joins us now, and I'd like to say with a summer-like forecast, but I'd be lying.
Well, if you were talking about July,
it's a really long term, really long term forecast.
I'll go out on a limb and say it'll get warm again in July. But when you have snow on the ground to start out with, and the average temperature drops from here on out, that's not a good sign. And of the three things you got to know in the forecast, well, it's going to be unseasonably cold overnight and again tomorrow. There'll be a brief warm-up Saturday, but then we'll turn breezy and colder on Sunday with falling temperatures in the afternoon, and that will set up potential for more record cold or near record cold for Monday, Tuesday, and early Wednesday of next week. Here are current temperatures. We're already down to 15 in Madison. It's 8 at the Baraboo Dells Airport, 6 in Camp Douglas. Look at Black River Falls, already down to 4 degrees below zero. That's a typical cold spot, but take a look at our temperature trend over the next 12 hours. We'll drop down to just above the record low of 7 by early tomorrow morning, and then by 10 a.m., not even be up to 20 degrees. As we check out the high temperature trend over the next 10 days, that doesn't look too hot either. 29 for high tomorrow, up to a balmy 39 on Saturday, but then that 34 on Sunday will be early in the day with falling temperatures. We're back down lower 20s Monday and maybe getting up to 20 degrees on Tuesday before a brief warm-up gets temperatures back in the upper 30s on Saturday, mid-30s on Sunday. But the average high temperature should be in the mid to upper 40s. And we have alert days in the forecast for, again, the potential for a near record low tomorrow morning and for record low high temperatures for tomorrow afternoon and Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week for the potential for more record or near record cold temperatures. Live view from the Edgewater Sky Camp downtown Madison. Clear out there tonight, but it is cold. The almanac for today shows just how cold it was. We should be at a high temperature of 49 degrees. Take a look at where our high temperature was today. 25. 13 was the low last night, but again, we're just above that right now at 15. We could be down to around 13 or even lower by midnight. Wind chill right now is at 6 degrees, and again, by tomorrow morning, we should probably be in the single digits. Upper level winds coming right out of central Canada. Alaska has been warmer than much of Wisconsin today because usually when the jet stream buckles, we get the cold air coming from Canada and warm air heads up into Alaska. So earlier today, Fairbanks was a few degrees warmer than Madison. But as we zoom into the Midwest, you can see as long as that upper level wind flow comes out of the northwest, it just continues to bring cold air into much of the eastern 2/3 of the country. The dividing line is that area of showers across the southeastern part of the country, and even that is moving southward. They've been very warm through Florida, but that is about to change. High pressure is just out to the west of us, keeping the weather cold across the entire Midwest. Temperatures already approaching 0 up in northern Minnesota, although those temperatures may actually start to rise later on tonight. Forecast for the overnight hours, mostly clear, unseasonably cold, near record cold with a low temperature of 8. Again, record low is 7 set back in 1991. Tomorrow's high 29, maybe a few more clouds than today, but still very, very cold. Temperatures single digits through much of southern Wisconsin overnight. High temperatures tomorrow, upper 20s, even though winds will pick up out of the south. Tomorrow night, temperatures actually may rise after dropping a little bit in the evening. Could be a couple of flurries. And Saturday will be dry. High temperatures will be in the upper 30s to around 40. But that's a brief warm-up because right after that high of 34 will be Sunday morning with falling temperatures, some light snow late Sunday night, Monday morning, and then those temperatures even colder. Probably the bulk of the cold air here Tuesday and Tuesday night, and then a very slow warm-up toward the end of next week. But even that brings temperatures only about 10 degrees below average by Saturday. And maybe the best thing I could say is there's not much in the way of accumulating snow in that forecast.
It's got to be a silver
look at
lining, right?
Look at the lights, bright side.
All right.
Was he talking? I blocked most of that out.
Yeah, it's all good. Everything's good.
Okay. State tournament time. Sun Prairie girls volleyball team with a tough test up at the Resch Center. The story coming up in sports.
For the first time, the state boys and girls volleyball tournaments are at the same location, the Resch Center across the street from Lambeau Field, home to both the boys and girls tournaments this year. Division I girls quarterfinals tonight, Sun Prairie against top-seeded Arrowhead. KJ McNabb is one of the best around. She gets a point here, and Sun Prairie's hanging in. Josie Halbleib then keeps the momentum going with a kill. Sun Prairie wins the first set, but Arrowhead takes control from there. The Warhawks get the next three. Arrowhead wins in 4 sets, and Sun Prairie's season is over.
Very proud of how the girls came out tonight and battled for every single point. And, you know, you hate to end it this way, but a lot of good things happened.
But I think we proved that we deserve to be here. Like, we are one of the best teams in the state, whether we win that game or not, and I'm really happy with how we played.
Here's the Division I semifinal scheduled tomorrow night at 7:30. Arrowhead against Burlington, Oconomowoc against River Falls. Also tomorrow, McFarland, Waterloo, and Hillsborough play in Divisions 2, 3, and 4. WIA State Boys Soccer, McFarland and Rice Lake, Division III semifinals. Ethan Nichols had a great season for the Spartans. Nichols scored 2 goals in the first half tonight. That gives him 18 of the season. Zach Nichols also scored twice. McFarland is the #1 seed in Division III. They're playing like it. Final scores, McFarland 7, Rice Lake 2. The Division III final has McFarland against Shorewood. In Division IV, Prairie School beat Lake Mills 8-0. It'll be Prairie School and Sturgeon Bay in the Division IV final Saturday. At Camp Randall Saturday afternoon at 3, Iowa at Wisconsin. The winner keeps their hopes alive for a Big Ten West championship. Paul Chris says it should be a great game, a rivalry game.
You know, anytime you play Iowa, it's a big game. And you got 2 teams, 6-2, 2 really good defenses, and I think 2 good offenses. And then, you know, it comes down to good football. And good football gives you a chance to win.
The Badger men's basketball team has its home opener against Eastern Illinois tomorrow night at 7. Eastern Illinois has a couple of familiar names on the roster. Former Madison East star Dang Dang and Madison Memorial's Sharif Smith both play for the Panthers. As for the Badgers, they put up a pretty good battle against 20th-ranked St. Mary's, but lost their season opener in Sioux Falls the other night, 65-63 in overtime. Now they'll look to improve in Game 2 tomorrow night.
We guys definitely have things that we can still clean up and fix, and, you know, again, all things that we can control. You know, we don't need anyone to jump higher or run faster. It's just little things that we can control. So, you know, we have a lot of pieces of the puzzle. We just got to put them all together.
I think that it's going to be good for us to come out here and compete against a pretty good Eastern Illinois team, and I think that just getting out here in front of our home base and our home crowd, I think will be good for us.
And if you're going to the game tomorrow night, you might want to get there a little early. They're going to have a ceremony to honor the family of assistant coach Howard Moore, which is still dealing with the tragic car accident last summer that killed Moore's wife and daughter. That ceremony to honor the Moore family begins at 6:45 tomorrow night at the Kohl Center. And we'll be right back.
Gary's back. Final check of that cold forecast.
Take a look at these temperatures. These are current temperatures, and they're going to go down from here. 15 right now in Madison, 6 in Camp Douglas, already below 0 in central Wisconsin. At least there's not much of a wind chill. Maybe that's the best thing I can say of this forecast. 29 for a high tomorrow, 39 Saturday, and then another cold blast early next week before we warm up toward the end of the week.
Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Do something good, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.